want to talk a bit about spokes so as nobody gets in the same problems that I had. I've bought some 19-inch motorbike wheels and I wanted to fit them on the e-bike, and I thought, simple. What I'll do is I'll just buy some spokes, some 10 gauge spokes, and I'll cut them to length and put a die on them, and jobs are good. It don't work like that, unfortunately. These are 14 gauge, standard 14 gauge spokes, which take, if you want to cut the thread on there, that's a 2.3 die or something like that works on there. These 10 gauge, although they're 3.12 millimeters diameter, they don't take an M3 thread, believe it or not. An M3 thread, you can't, if you put an M3 die on there, well, you just can't. It won't go on at all, and you'd have to cut it down in stages. Believe it or not, an M3 is 2.5 millimeters. I don't understand. An engineer at work doesn't understand, so that's the way that it works, unfortunately. That's about an M3.5 die that you'd need on there. That's M3, sorry, that's 3 mil. That's 3 mil, that's 3 mil. These are the first ones that I bought, and I cut them down and I couldn't get the die on there, and you can't get a 3.5, well, I can't find a 3.5 mil die, or I can't find the proper die that actually fits on there. So these are 165, I think it was, 165 mil, so they were scrap, can't use them. Then I bought some other ones which are 155 mil, and what I thought was, I'll pull them down and then I'll chop 5 mil off the end, it won't be a problem. But I don't know if you can see that the thread in actual fact goes down to there. So I was actually pulling, no, hang on, sorry, the thread goes to there. So what I was doing with the nipple itself, when I was tightening it down, there was 5 mil sticking out, or 10 mil sticking out at the end, so I chopped it off. But the only thing was, the only threads that were actually binding on it is that bit there, which wasn't enough, and it started pulling the spokes out, which isn't very good when you're doing 60 miles an hour. Luckily, when I got back home, it was just making a bit of like a tink, 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 tink as it was going round, and I figured out what was going on. When I tried to re-tighten them, I thought, oh, I hadn't tightened them up. I had. It was stripping the threads. So they are 155 mil. Then I had a bloke it was in Germany actually, I thought it was Italy. There's a man in Germany who was selling M3 spokes, and I had to get these custom made. These are 150 mil long, which is the ones that I need, but the diameter of these is 2.5 millimeters, and they're listed as M3. And I emailed him and I said, these are 2.5 millimeter, these are 3 millimeter. Have you sent me the wrong ones? And he said, no, that's the way that it works. M3 spokes are at 2.5 millimeter. I don't understand it, and I hope somebody in the comments is going to explain how the hell that works. The quality of these is fantastic. The thread, absolutely everything is superb. Really, really, really good. Anyway, because they're 2.5 mil, I can't use them because I'm a bit worried about them snapping. Although they are very strong spokes, they may hold up, but I can't trust it. Then I found a man in the UK, in Coleshill, in Birmingham. Cuts them to length, threads them to length. These are actually rolled threads. They're not cut with a die or anything. They roll them out. I've sprayed these black. These are 150 millimeter long, and the way you measure it is to the elbow, to the end, 150 mil. So I'm going to be using these in the wheel, Now, when you're building a wheel, there's loads of different ways. There's loads of videos on YouTube. The way that I do it is you put one side of the spokes. I can't explain. Here's the result. So here's the wheel fully attached to the bike, and it still ain't right. It's still not right. It's going to be safe. It's okay, but you see these here. Oh, you see these here. That isn't lined. It's pulling. Actually, wants to pull to that one. Let's try and get it at a better angle. This one here is trying to pull to that hole. So these spokes are actually too long. I've measured from there to there. That's 110 mil, so I'm probably going to have to get some more spokes. This is, I think, the 8th set. The 8th set of spokes I've got. So, bugger. I'm going to do it again. But hopefully that gives you an oversight of spokes and the way that they work, the sizes and everything else. Don't be fooled into getting M3 spokes and expect a 3mm spoke. It's not. It's a 2.6mm. Back to the drawing board.